Thanks for clicking play on the latest edition of Iowa Revolution. My name is Spencer. He's Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob, good to see you.
Good to see you, Spencer.
You had a busy morning this morning. We had Rob Sand in town, the current state auditor, of course, running for governor on the Democratic side. He had a packed house at Spire Drink Co., and you were there.
Yes, I was there. It was very interesting. He was top of his game. Had a really nice stump speech. Plus, entertained some very good questions from the audience. It was really a good event. It was well attended. Our friend Nathan Sage, candidate for Senate, was there. Lots of people in the community, educators, blue collar people, people in a variety of positions in the community. People coming from Pella, from Melcher, from all over, and people are ready to hear what Rob Sand has to say. And he told us that that's all he asks of anybody is to listen to see what he has to say and show us how he can bring us all together as governor for everyone. And so I've been to I don't know how many political events over the course of my life, but it was intimate. There were real connections. There were good questions. He had some, really good punchlines, some good stories, good humor. I mean, he's the real deal.
You know the community pretty well. Did you notice any Republicans there?
Rob actually asked that a couple of people raised their hands and said they were Republicans, and he thanked them for coming. More independents, and he thanked them for coming, and mostly Democrats. And I saw a lot of my Democratic friends, many members of the Marion County Democratic Central Committee were there. But it was a good event. It was good for that local business. Spire does a great job. It was nice to bring in people that may never have been there before. It's also nice to see people from Pella and Knoxville. And believe it or not, there's Democrats in Pella.
I wouldn't spread that rumor too far and wide. They might get in trouble living in Pella. But a couple different things I wanted to mention. I did see Kim Reynolds and Marionette Miller Meeks at the NASCAR race on Sunday. I was there. I had media credentials. Marionette Miller Meeks walked right in front of me as I walked into the media center. She was there with a couple other people. I assume her husband and then a couple other staff were with her. And then Governor Kim Reynolds was there. It was reported in the Des Moines Register that she actually sat in on the drivers' meeting that was going on inside the media center for a while. And then I was actually outside in the infield on a riser waiting for the race to start. And I had my earmuffs on, the cars are going around at this point, again, just waiting for the race to start. So I look over to my right, and 10 feet down the riser from me is Kim Reynolds. It's literally just me and then Kim Reynolds 10 feet away. I was glad that I had my earmuffs on. I was glad that the race was about to start so I could just turn around and concentrate on what was going on the racetrack. By the way, William Byron was the winner. Great attendance at the Newton Speedway, and it does look like NASCAR will probably return to the Iowa Speedway in Newton. IndyCar probably not going to return to the Iowa Speedway anytime soon. They had horrible attendance on their race weekends. I did also want to mention we got to give Rob Sand props, Dr. Bob. We had mentioned several times during the podcast that he may not be coming out as strong for water quality as we would like, as a lot of people would like. While you were at that town hall that he was holding in Knoxville, his team sent out a press release that he's going to be touring the Des Moines Waterworks tomorrow, talking about the water crisis and checking out their facilities, also holding a press availability afterwards. So, one thing we mentioned before we got on the show is maybe some pressure from people like Chris Jones and others, especially Chris Jones, though. Maybe that pressure has gotten to Rob Sand, and he is now hopefully going to be talking more about water quality in the state.
Yeah, well, I wish I could get away for that event. It sounds like a smart event by Rob, but only if he has some important, significant things to say about improving our water quality. Otherwise, it'll be a swing and a miss.
Was going to say, I mean, it is easy to give lip service to things like that, but to actually come down and say these are the steps that we're going to take, that is quite another step. So we'll see. Again, this is a good first step, I think, but it's something that we'll continue to follow up on, and hopefully he continues to get pressure from people. I know he'll get pressure from Chris Jones and us as well, to because it's very serious. I don't know if you had heard, but I know on KHOI Capital Week, Laura Bellin and I do that show each and every Monday evening. But we were one of the only people that reported that the Iowa or that this national senior games was taking place in Des Moines, and they actually had to cancel the swimming portion of the triathlon because of the E. coli levels in the Des Moines River. So, I mean, this is something that's going to affect everyone, our quality of life. Obviously, our cancer rates are sky high, and could also affect tourism.
Yeah, well, and once they start that river rafting or whatever they're going to do on the Des Moines River, and everybody sees how filthy the water is, no one's going to want to do it.
Right.
And so we've got to do something, and the time is now. Chris Jones incidentally came out with a very powerful statement, sort of a manifesto on water quality and what we need to do. People can dispute specific kinds of recommendation that he makes, but it's the most powerful statement that I've read on what we need to be doing about water quality. And it's at his Substack, The Swine Republic. I encourage you to subscribe.
Busy show today. We had three more people being detained by ICE in Cedar Rapids. They were trying to do the right thing, just like a story that we've been talking about over the past few weeks. That gentleman from West Liberty. Also, Trump fired his labor statistics leader. So I wanted to get into that with you, Dr. Bob, because you actually had written a book about statistics. You know how to do statistics. So I thought I would get your thoughts on what's happening there. More cover up on the Epstein story from the White House. News that J.D. Vance, among others in the administration, are going to be meeting about pretty much how can they cover up this Epstein story or spin it and make it a positive. I don't know how they're going to be doing that. But then I also definitely wanted to get your thoughts. We have an AI with segment this week. Jim Acosta interviewed an AI reanimation of a Parkland shooting victim. Jim Acosta, of course, the former CNN host. He also has a Substack as well. Definitely wanted to get your thoughts on that. We have a factoid of the week, food related, and top five worst songs. I don't know if you've been paying attention, Dr. Bob, but over the past couple of days on Twitter, that's been one of the big discourses is worst songs of all time. I am a radio DJ by trade, so I think I have a pretty decent top five worst songs of all time. And Dr. Bob, of course, always feel free uh, add yours. I know that my number one will probably be a shared number one. So let's get to this first story from KCRG TV. And this is also close to Dr. Bob's heart. I don't know. I mean, you were basically, I mean, literally attached at the hip to your police scanner while working for the radio station.
Yeah, when I worked for the radio station doing news, that scanner was very, very important. And it's important, for a number of reasons. One is we need to cover, the things that are reported on the scanner. We need to know what car wrecks are happening, fires. We just need to know that in order for it's a public service to tell people what's happening in the community. And those are resources. We pay for the taxes for ambulances, for police, for fire and emergency management. And so those are our resources that are being put into play to help, save us, essentially. And it was very interesting. There's all kinds of things that would have been hard to do without knowing the scanner, if without having the scanner, like, for example, getting the scanner traffic on a drowning at Lake Red Rock. It was important, at least, or when a airplane crashed, when a train derailed, we had all of those kinds of things. And after you listened to the scanner for a while, you knew when things were going on that were different from usual, and then you could contact local law enforcement or fire. It was critical to our job, and I felt it was. Um, and so, however, on the other side of it, there about 15 years ago, there was a guy that was being arrested, quite frequently. And late one night in downtown Knoxville, I don't know why I was there, maybe it's an election kind of thing, but this guy that was always going to jail, came up and started talking to me. And he had his scanner on in his car. He drove up and talked to me from inside his car. I forget what he asked me, but in his car, I'm hearing the scanner traffic. And so he heard something on the scanner and then he left. And so I think that, this guy was smart, listened to the radio scanner to, plan whatever he was going to do that often, ended up with him being in jail. So I understand that part of it. I don't understand the security of the law enforcement. They say that that's the same thing that they're saying now about why ICE law enforcement has to wear masks. Everything in this, for the protection of law enforcement, you know, I just think that there's some things that need to be transparent. And I think that this is one of them. The encrypted radios, I say, well, you can get an encrypted radio, but they're very expensive.
Right.
So, I'm sort of
Even to
torn.
have a police scanner is not cheap. I mean, to go and buy a police scanner, although they do have apps now where you can listen to some cities, not all cities are on that app, but that is also an option in especially larger cities.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I'd go through a scanner about every 2 years because you drop them a lot and yeah, there's all kinds of things. I understand all sides of the issue, but I think that access to radio communications should at least minimally be accessible by the media.
And just to
That's
get in
my stories.
and to get into the background here, the Cedar Rapids Fire Department basically effective today, will start encrypting its scanner traffic. Lynn County law enforcement, including Lynn County Sheriff and Cedar Rapids Police Department, moved to encrypted radio traffic in 2017, citing concerns for officer safety and privacy concerns for crime victims as well. That's another concern. But as you said, I mean, it's also taxpayer dollars at use. I think that's one of the most important reasons to have those publicly available. And on the flip side, too, when Sioux City Police and the Woodbury County Sheriff's Office moved to encrypted radios in 2017, it reached agreements with local media outlets to allow them to continue to monitor traffic and responsibly communicate information with the public. So that's also another option as well. At least have the media be sort of a gatekeeper for the information. And then if something's obviously serious enough, then they can report that on. So that does at least, you mentioned the criminal that's using the scanner traffic. That would be a way to eliminate that issue, at least, to a certain extent.
Yeah, in general, I'm for more transparency, but I understand some of the concerns.
Same. And I think, I mean, and just coming from media members, it does make news gatherers' job more difficult.
Yeah, and I never ever reported directly from information on the scanner, for
That's
example.
actually another thing I was going to say. It's also very important that the media is responsible with that information because, yes, we had conversations many times with our staff about, yes, we need to have the scanner, but we're not reporting straight off the scanner because that may not be verified information.
Right. And especially for things as serious as if you hear, a tornado, you don't want to report a tornado, if there isn't one. And I guess it's better to report when there isn't one, but it's just you don't want to be reporting inaccurate information. And so we'd always confirm. And we're a small enough community, it could be confirmed fairly quickly.
Yeah, and I
And
don't think that's even an issue, that's not even an issue brought up here. Again, it's just more of, I do understand, especially of protecting the victims of crimes. I think that's probably a small percentage of the radio traffic, but it certainly should be thought of. I mean, that's something that's pretty serious.
well, we would never report on, the name of a victim unless, they came forward.
Right. So, speaking of victims here, this is also from KCRG TV. Three people have been detained by ICE after attending routine immigration check-ins on Tuesday. Five immigrant families participated in the check-ins at the Department of Homeland Security office in Cedar Rapids. Hundreds of people showed up to support the families as part of a protest organized by Escucha Mi Voz. Over 300 people filled the lawn in front of the Cedar Rapids ICE building Tuesday morning. The DHS office is the same one where Pascual Pedro was detained on July 1st. We've discussed him on the show previously. previously. And I'm quoting Lori Forbes, a supporter attending the protest. She said, he went in thinking it's just a normal thing and not even realizing he needed support, and now people are understanding. Protesters made their way to the office not only to support the families, but also in the hopes of protecting them. Despite their efforts, 3 people were detained by ICE, including Hugo Zamora of Postville and Mokhtar Sanogo of Muscatine. Neither Zamora nor Sanogo are affiliated with Escucha Mi Voz. I did want to mention that Escucha Mi Voz is a faith-based, immigrant-led community organization that envisions a world of love thy neighbor by building the power of working class, immigrant, and refugee communities to fight and win dignity and justice in society. And there is different state chapters, and there is a chapter in Iowa.
And you recognize that this isn't designed to solve any problem. These people are here legally. They're responding. They're doing what they're supposed to do. This immediately criminalizes them. And then it also drives a lot of other people to ground. Why go to your meeting if you know you're going to be deported? It's just, to cause more terror in the immigrant community and establish some kind of or hit some kind of established quota by Stephen Miller. And so, yeah, this is unimaginable to me. These people were let in. They're contributing members of society. They're going to their meetings that they're supposed to go to. And then only by doing what they're supposed to be doing are they arrested.
Yeah, so here's a tip. If you are here illegally, don't go to these meetings. Don't show up to the DHS office because they're going to arrest you.
Well, we're not saying that. We're
I'll
not
say it.
encouraging people. Well, we shouldn't encourage that. I don't want to encourage people to break the law.
But if they're going to follow the law and then be deported, I
I
think
know,
it's
I know.
I
They
think it's
should be able
important
to,
to tell people the truth. Here's the thing. Here's the information. If you show up to the DHS office, you may be deported. Make your own decision.
that's better.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to tell them what to do.
And as far as we know, Pascual Pedro is in some foreign nation and
Yeah,
not coming back.
yeah. I was
So
reading
these people probably have the same fate.
probably, and off to some other nation or maybe to Alligator Alcatraz, in Florida. And I was reading, you know, a statement, an interview with a former prison guard there that said the conditions for the people that work there were horrible, sharing trailers, all kinds of, sanitary issues, and that the immigrants are being detained. Most of them have no criminal record, and they're in like concentration camp conditions, not getting enough to eat. It's unsanitary, too many people using the toilet. They're all broken and backed up. And so they're living in these horrible situations in cages, jam-packed, and we're just letting it happen. We're just sitting here on our fat asses and not doing anything. I mean, we just accept all of these atrocities. We don't do anything. I guess, we're going to vote, but doesn't anybody else feel the pain? You read there's just so much happening now that we just accept or return our backs to. I wrote, I can't sleep at night sometimes because I hear the screams of children who are dying because of our abandonment of Africa and helping, those kids survive with just basic food and medicines that amounts to pennies a day. Instead, we'll let it rot in ships. We'll let it rot here and not send it out. We need to take this stuff more seriously. And it's not just overseas. It's not just, immigrants. It's all kinds of things. Why do we let Kim Reynolds let children go hungry in school? We could support that. We could give kids free lunch and free breakfast, but we don't. We are comfortable with children being hungry here and dying, what? I published something citing some, I don't know, a medical researcher at Boston College or somewhere that in the initial aftermath of closing the USAID offices, 106 children were dying an hour. And we're just sitting here and we'll just take it and we're not going to say anything. But, escucha mi voice, good for them for protesting. We've got to protest. We've got to write letters. We've got to stand in solidarity. We've got to cut checks to those organizations on the front lines defending people. We've got to actually pay for the newspapers or podcasters or whoever we have to pay to get the accurate information from people that we trust. We have to embrace the media. I mean, Trump wants the media to go away. The MAGA movement wants the media to go away. They want to strangle it so they can do whatever they want to do. And we're just acting like, we're not doing enough. I know some people are horrified by it, but we feel powerless. But we can't feel powerless. We have to decide what course of action can we do personally to make things better. And sometimes it's protesting, sometimes it's building communities that support people, sometimes it's writing a check, but get off your ass and do something.
I don't know if you saw this, but they're planning on building another, I guess, twin of Alligator Alcatraz. They're going to call it Speedway Slammer, the Speedway Slammer. The White House official account on Twitter posted an AI image of a Indy car, you know, driving past this large jail or prison with the number five on it. And the number five in IndyCar is driven by Pato O'Ward, a Mexican driver. I mean, how sickening is that?
Well, it's absolutely sickening. And the thing too is that
By the way, I do want to mention real quick that IndyCar has responded. They've told them to stop using their imagery and, the Speedway nomenclature because they don't want them to be using their IP, was what they said. They didn't really come up against the Trump administration by any means, but they did tell them basically a cease and desist to stop using their imagery. So IndyCar has somewhat pushed back, but I was hoping that they would push back a little harder.
yeah, well, I haven't read anything about it, but the fact is, calling these Alligator Alley and the Speedway thing, this trivializes that this is cruel. It may
Yes.
people by using those labels, people will laugh. It makes it normal.
And
They,
cheer it on.
yeah, yeah. The cruelty of the MAGA movement is just remarkable to me, and that people laugh about it, they think that is funny. But this is all conscious attempts at manipulating language and our minds.
Speaking of, that's a great segue here, Dr. Bob, into our Cock Talk segment. This is from KCCI TV. President Trump fired BLS Commissioner Erica McIntyre, who was appointed by former President Joe Biden after claiming that the weaker than expected jobs report released Friday was rigged for political reasons. Quoting Trump here, a scam. She did it again with another massive correction and got fired. She had the biggest miscalculations in over 50 years. He posted that on Truth Social on Sunday. Trump is referencing revisions to May and June figures, which show that hiring was much weaker than previously reported. These revisions are routine, though the updated figures were larger than usual. The White House disputes the corrections, but has not shared any specific evidence of wrongdoing. The firing faced harsh criticism from William Beach, who Trump appointed BLS commissioner during his first term. Quoting Beach here, I don't think there's any grounds at all for this firing, and it really hurts the statistical system. It undermines credibility. And he said that on State of the Union on Sunday. Beach said there are safeguards in place to prevent that data manipulation. He said that while he is worried about how the firing will impact public perception, he will continue to trust government jobs data moving forward, noting BLS employees, quote, are completely devoted to producing the very best gold standard data possible, end quote.
Well, and it's absolutely critical to have that kind of information. They've been messing with statistics all across different government websites, been, revising different reports. They're creating an alternative reality, and if they don't like a report, they're going to change it. And all of this stuff as it builds, it's critical for the functioning of our democracy for us to have accurate data. And Rob Sand this afternoon reported that the state government closed, and I haven't read this anywhere, it closed 500 monitoring sites. I knew that they closed the 70 that Chris Jones used to monitor. But if they close the water monitoring sites, they can just say the water's good. We need the hard data on all of this stuff, on the jobs report. Trump's also lying. He said, oh, she gave the Biden administration a great jobs report prior to the election. Well, no, it wasn't a great jobs report. It wasn't a very good jobs report. So he just wants to manipulate everything so that to mirror his wish list, his vision of what things should be, but it's not how things are. I mean, he was misquoting gas prices. He was saying that inflation is down, food prices are down. And that's the ultimate thing that we have to count on is that we are going to notice at the grocery. He can say that you can buy eggs for X, and when you can't, you know that he's lying. Unfortunately, it just doesn't matter for some people. But I mean, with respect to the economy, the American people will feel it. He's not going to be able to lie and say, hey, the economy's doing great, because we know better.
You know who else did that very effectively? The Nazis.
Yeah.
They would just make up statistics. They would say, for your example, they would say inflation is down, or inflation is at 0%. Or, for example, the White House just tweeted not too long ago that there's been zero illegal immigrants enter the country in the past month or 2 months or whatever the statistic was. It doesn't matter because it was a fake statistic. And they would say that about, oh, there's 0% immigration in Germany. And so, I mean, this is literally textbook authoritarianism bullshit.
Right. Absolutely. And it's all orchestrated by Stephen Miller and Russell Vought, the author of Project 2025, now budget director. There's a whole cabal of these people that have been working since the 50s to, different conservative movements trying to get this to happen, to, have the president be an authoritarian. These are people that like daddy figures. They don't trust the American people, the general populace, to make, good decisions. I think I've told you before, I have a brother-in-law who thinks that the democracy's time is over, that we just need to get all the smartest people, in the country together, like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, all the richest people, because the richest people are the smartest because they've got the most money. And we need to turn the government over to him. And over to them. And there's a whole lot of people that believe this.
It's that Ayn Rand mythology. It's just pure mythology, though. If you were to ever actually meet Peter Thiel or Elon Musk, I'm guessing you would not be all that impressed.
No. Nope, it's mythology
By the
that,
way, you brought up Project 2025. That's something that does not get brought up enough anymore, I don't think, because this has been the playbook, not just since Trump got into power or just before Trump got into power. This has been the playbook for the last 40 years. Going back to Nazism, I believe it was an AP reporter, but there was a reporter, an American woman, that was reporting in Germany about the rise of Hitler and the Nazis. And she was warning us back home, basically, of this is what's going to happen. And there was not a small minority of people that were actually appealed to that same thing, that your brother-in-law, who was it your brother-in-law that is pining for the days of authoritarianism and just tell me what to do. We need strong leaders, smart people that will just tell us what to do. Well, they had said all along, we're going to get rid of the Jews, we're going to get rid of all the immigrants, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She was saying by basically around 1937, and then she was kicked out because she was telling the truth, but she was saying all these things you thought they weren't actually going to do, they are doing. They have already taken steps to purge the country of Jews, gypsies, and close Jewish businesses, et cetera. Those were some of the first steps they took, just like this immigration crackdown and people being arrested at DHS offices in Cedar Rapids. It's the same thing.
Well, yeah,
They're doing what they said they were going to do.
yeah, and so people shouldn't be surprised, but they are.
Yes, hopefully, and maybe this does wake people up. Maybe the lies have gotten to the point where you can't play along anymore. I mean,
But
you
they're
still
never
see
going to
people
know.
try to reply on comments where Trump says that you have gas that it's $1.99 in some places in the country, which is just flat out not true. But you'll still get bots or whatever commenting, yeah, this is where it's, or he meant this. And you always hear, oh, he meant this.
Mhm.
He's the fucking president. I shouldn't need to be explained by a bot on Twitter what the president meant by what he said.
Yeah. And so I don't know, this it's important to just resist anytime we can. There's all kinds of things that we don't even know what's happening. Who knows what kinds of threats are being made to people? Who knows what kinds of oh data or are being fabricated to, or images fabricated to, to blackmail people, to, drive them into submission and compliance. Who knows what they're doing at the FBI and CIA and all the people that, you know,
Or foreign
essentially,
intelligence,
well, yeah, and they're
China,
purging,
Russia.
right, right. Yeah, they're purging all of the people that are good, demanding they obey. It's it's crazy. And if you don't obey, you will be punished.
And now we're canceling vaccine contracts.
Yep.
Did you see that? We're canceling all the mRNA vaccines, which those have been promised to possibly be vaccines for some types of cancer, maybe the cure for cancer, and we're canceling them, which means that we're going to miss out on the next big breakthrough in science, or one of the next big breakthroughs, and probably all of the next big breakthroughs because this is happening government wide. But we're going to lose out too, Europe, Russia, China.
Yeah. And because they're going to be going off of actual data, they're going to be doing actual research. They're trying to
They're
be
going to
trying.
hire smart people and let them do their jobs.
Right. All we're trying to do is strip America for parts
Right.
and sell it off to the highest bidder.
And live in a
That's all.
fantasy world of our own
Yep.
making.
Yep.
So speaking of fantasy worlds, I mean, this has just gotten absolutely crazy. This is from ABC News. Vice President JD Vance on Wednesday evening, so tonight as we're recording, last night as this is being released, he's expected to host a group of top administration officials at his residence for a strategy session as the administration considers whether to release the transcript from the Department of Justice interview with Ghislaine Maxwell, sources familiar with the matter told ABC News. It's one of many meetings that has consumed the White House and top administration officials as they attempt to quell the fallout from their handling of the Epstein files and as pressure mounts for the DOJ and the White House to be transparent about what Maxwell said in her 9 hours of meetings earlier this month with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Attorney General Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, FBI Director Kash Patel, and White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles are expected to attend. As ABC reported on Tuesday, the administration could release a transcript of the interview as soon as this week.
Well, there's
By
no
the way,
reason.
the interview, by the way, they mean is with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Well, we have no idea what they'll edit out of it. I mean, there's going to be,
And I mean, if your best source to clear your name is her, then you're guilty. I mean, he's guilty as shit, period. The fact that it's even gotten this far, that they're going to bring Maxwell back out of prison, basically dangling a pardon, I'm sure, of saying, hey, make sure. And by the way, I did see just before we started recording that there are now leaks, a report that Maxwell said she never saw Trump do anything inappropriate.
well,
By the way, I wonder why that's the first thing that's leaked, by the way. Wonder why that's the first thing
that's
that's
a good
leaked.
point.
And it's almost like they made her say that, isn't it?
Yeah. It's crazy what the
And now
MAGA
P. Diddy might get a pardon. Now there's reports that P. Diddy's legal team has been in contact with Donald Trump about a pardon, and he's even commented on it. So he probably will give P. Diddy a pardon. He is the if you are a sexual freak, you are on Donald Trump's side.
Yeah. Well, the P. Diddy thing is a distraction. I mean, not to be talking about Maxwell, and what he did, I understand is
But to me,
horrific.
I think they're pretty much one and the same. He was found guilty on some of those trafficking charges, but they did very, very similar things from what I've read. By the way, I read Julie K. Brown's Miami Herald article as soon as it came out about Jeffrey Epstein.
Mhm.
So, I mean, and I followed this all the way through. So yeah, I know what freaking happened with this guy. And to be even somewhat associated with him is a huge red flag, period.
Right. I agree. But how it's hard to keep, just think of all the contortions the MAGA people are having to go through. It's like, first there weren't any files. Oh no, first there were files. Then there weren't any files.
Right.
Then Obama and,
And
other people
Biden, yeah, yeah,
jailed.
then they made it up. Right. And
And so
Hillary,
there's
they
this
made it up.
constantly moving fact about the files. And so, I mean, how anybody couldn't conclude that they're not releasing them because and we know Trump's name is on it. And so why not release them? Why does the House of Representatives run rather than, say that those should be released? I mean, that there's got to be something that is, horrifying and, is potentially presidential office ending for Trump in those files. But, we can't trust that they're going to not redact them or not just destroy them or not just make them up. And the sad thing is that people will, I mean, Trump is starting to hint that Maxwell was a victim. And people on Fox News and on MoveAt and Newsmax are saying that she was a victim. No, she pulled down their panties and she helped abuse them. I mean, and so she is, a notorious
She was
sex.
absolutely essential to
Yeah,
this
yeah,
sex trafficking. She was the sex trafficker. When you really think about it, he had her around so she could pay young girls to recruit other young girls to come do these unspeakable things to Epstein.
yep. But
She
Trump is
ran
going to
it.
portray her as a victim, deserving of a pardon. Now, why? Everything with Trump is transactional. And so it's to get something from her.
Well, do you
And when
remember when she
that
was
something,
first arrested, he wished her luck?
yeah, I remember that.
So even that should have been a pretty big red flag to his supporters of why would you wish a child sex trafficker good luck?
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty clear they don't care.
It's very clear that they don't care about the truth whatsoever. So this is just kind of creepy, Dr. Bob. This is our A Iowa segment, and this is from The Guardian. Jim Acosta, former chief White House correspondent for CNN, stirred controversy on Monday when he sat for a conversation with a reanimated version of a person who died more than 7 years ago. His guest was an avatar of Joaquin Oliver, one of the 17 people killed in the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School mass shooting in Parkland, Florida in 2018. The video shows Oliver, captured via a real photograph and animated with generative artificial intelligence, wearing a beanie with a solemn expression. Acosta asked the avatar, "What happened to you?" Oliver responds, "I appreciate your curiosity," he said in a hurried monotone without inflection or pauses for punctuation. "I was taken from this world too soon to gun violence while at school. It's important to talk about these issues. We can create a safer future for everyone." The avatar's narration is stilted and computerized. The movements of its face and mouth are jerky and unnatural, looking more like a dub over than an actual person talking. Acosta said in the video segment that Oliver's parents created the AI version of their son, and his father, Manuel Oliver, invited him to be the first reporter to interview the avatar. Acosta also spoke to Manuel Oliver in the video, telling him, quote, "I really felt like I was speaking with Joaquin. It's just a beautiful thing." The victim's father said he understood this was an AI version of his son and that he can't bring him back, but it was a blessing to hear his voice again. He said he's looking forward to seeing what more AI can do.
Wow. This is just sort of tragic. I mean, it's just so tragic. And, it's only been a few years for that father. And to say that, it meant so much to hear his voice. I mean, you have to understand and appreciate that. And I just think that if I would have had the chance to do that interview, I would have done it, just like Acosta did it, just to figure, just to see how it worked. But I fear that we're going to be doing this all of the time.
was going to say, I mean, if you can do this, then how about next episode we have George Washington as our guest or Abraham Lincoln as our guest?
Yeah. And so we're going to be confusing reality with, some kind of a AI version of reality. And it's going to have some little bits of truth in it, some bits of humanity, the sound of the voice. It's just going to be heartbreaking. But I think it's just really bad journalistic practice.
It's on top of everything else quite bizarre. It's hard for me to even really wrap my mind about the consequences of this because it's very hard to be judgmental of this father. He lost his son in as tragic of a way as you possibly could. So, yeah, to judge him or to say this is right or wrong, I can't say that because I am not in that position. I would not be able to relate to Manuel Oliver. But
It's the merging of our worlds. Our worlds and the AI world are going to be indistinguishable.
well, I mean, we've just talked about, they fired the labor statistics director. I mean, it's just the blurring of reality and unreality that's very, very bizarre and scary. And the thing is, a lot of things that are bad for you make you feel good. I think that kind of goes without saying. I think AI is one of those things. It might make you feel good. It might make you feel nostalgic, or it might make you cry. It might make you laugh. But is it real? And if it's not real, then aren't you almost like losing a part of your soul? Aren't you dying a little bit?
Well, the thing is, as our worlds converge, it is real. It's part of our world. That boy, the avatar of that boy, he's of this world now.
True, but not in a way that you can grasp.
Well, it'll just get better and better. And, imagine, sitting down with your grandfather that you admire.
Well, here's another, I mean, to go on a complete different track, but we talked about declining birth rates last episode. Imagine when you don't have to deal with any of the emotions of an actual person and you can get all of your other needs taken care of and you can turn it on and off whenever you want.
Yep.
And in some ways, that's already happening. Whether it's
Mhm.
virtual reality, there's all sorts of crazy sex dolls and sex toys out there. It's in some ways already here in the fact that you don't need another person to fully satisfy yourself.
Yep. Yep.
So
It's,
again, but that seems real, but it's not real.
but it is real.
That's like saying I have a relationship with Tom Cruise because I've seen his movies.
Well, you
You know what I'm
do.
saying?
Right. But I mean, you're wearing glasses. Is the world that you see through those glasses real or not?
Sometimes it's hard to tell, especially more
But your
now.
world is different. If you take off your glasses, it's a different world. And so if we take this AI stuff, but it's still of our world. Your glasses are of the world of this world, and the AI stuff will be of this world too. And if you find comfort in humanity and affirmation online that you can't get in real life, the consequences for that person might be joyful. The consequences for society, as you suggest, could be horrific. But nonetheless, it's things that are in our head are real. I mean, our consciousness is interpreting mass and energy flowing around us and giving us a picture of what the world looks like. If we had, the ability to see in infrared, it'd be an entirely different world.
Well, here's a thought experiment for you, Dr. Bob. Would you recommend that people take LSD every day?
No, I
Because it
would.
may make you feel joyful. It may make you feel happy.
There's
It
all
might make
kinds of.
things appear real to you that are really not there. And in my mind, it's very similar to artificial intelligence, where you're just making things up that you would like to see that are not real.
Right. But I think that in
And it
certain.
also makes it too easy. It also makes it too easy because people can create. People should be making things, but they should be putting some work into it.
Well, I don't know. I've got a friend who he asked me, he's a firefighter in Des Moines, and he asked me to listen to this album that he had put together. And it was fantastic.
You've told me about this.
Yeah, one of
Yes.
the songs was just haunting and beautiful, and it was about lots of things about post-Civil War recovery and slave songs and stuff like that. And it was, him contemplating his ancestors and stuff.
Okay.
It
So
was absolutely beautiful.
he used artificial intelligence to make it sound a little bit better, right? I
No,
am okay.
he created it with artificial intelligence. He was an athlete. He didn't have the opportunities. He didn't come from a background that valued, that got him music lessons. I'm sure they valued music, but he didn't get music lessons. And now, as he's retired, he's using AI to create these beautiful songs. Now, my musician friends don't like this at all. But are we to deny my friend the joy of making music? Even, and he wrote the lyrics. I mean, and so the lyrics are very, and I'm sure the AI helped him. But I mean, this is just like, we can consider, the good and the bad of this, but this is, I don't know, it's pretty interesting to me, and as you know, I'm 71 years old. And what's interesting to me is things that happen in your body and with your mind. And sometimes I feel like, and so, I think I told you this, there's been a tragedy in our family, and I'm hearing about the things in Gaza, and the children dying in alligator Alcatraz. And as I'm aging and listening to this, my brain is and all kinds of things that are going on. So sometimes I feel like I'm walking around in a daze. And it's like for a while, I thought I was descending into madness. Okay. And so that was a journey. And I told that to somebody, and they acted like, do you need help? I said, no, I'm enjoying it. And so, I pulled out of that kind of mindset. But going down that whatever that route was and the journey through, older age and what happens to your mind, a lot of people are fearful of it. And because our society says be fearful of it. And it's just like, to me, it's a path I've never been down, and I'm going to learn from it. And so if I can go down a path, an AI path, I'm going to try to learn from it. And I know that it's all complex. It doesn't make any sense, but there's an inevitability to me of life and our paths. And I just take it. I embrace it. I look at it. I do my best to be a good person. I, I just enjoy the journey, and I'm not going to deny this part of my life's journey through times of anguish and times of befuddlement, trying to remember where I parked my truck. I can resist it or I can go with the flow. My natural inclination with this AI stuff is I want to follow that path, and it's like, when I was in college, I was tempted to follow the LSD path too, because people at that time were talking about what an interesting thing. And, I never did that, but I understand the allure of all of these different kinds of things that are happening. And I can be pissed off at AI. I don't like the fact that they use 52 of my scientific articles in a previous life to train AI without compensation. But there's just so much to be explored. It's like a new frontier for me. It's like all of a sudden getting to see through a bee's eyes. Imagine, what it looks like from a bee's eyes, and to say, I'm not going to look through the bee's eyes to see what kind of a beautiful world the bee has. As you can see, I'm totally conflicted in every possible way about all this stuff.
Same. But I don't think I'm as conflicted as you are. It's funny that I'm more of a Luddite when it comes to AI than you, but I am. I am scared of it. I just saw a paper just released that one of the jobs that's going to go first is radio DJs, and I am a radio DJ. Hopefully, this podcasting will help us stay afloat, Dr. Bob, because this is, again, two real people talking to you with beating hearts, veins, arteries, brains, all that good stuff, not just machines. Just imagine that. Imagine how many times machines listen to other machines. Imagine how many bots. Hell, we probably have bot listeners. We probably have some sort of just machine that automatically clicks play on this thing.
I don't know about that.
I'm not saying we do. I'm saying somewhere there's a bot that's listening to this podcast, not actually listening, but counting as a listener.
Well,
And we've talked about the dead internet theory, and they actually just had released information that yes, at least Twitter is like 70% bots at this point.
yeah, well, our voices today, are a different kind of thing than radio. I mean, I used to like to mess with little kids I'd interview saying, "Do you know that once you're on the radio, your voice goes into outer space for eternity to be heard millions of years from now by an alien race not yet born?" I used
I
to
know.
love this.
I get goosebumps every time you say it because yes, that's one of the most exciting things about being on the radio. And we can nerd out a little bit here, Dr. Bob, but that is fucking cool because I am and you are in some ways eternal.
Right. Absolutely. And that's part of the fun of it. And it's just like we can, I don't know. I guess, we're pioneers. Every one of us are pioneers
Oh,
now.
here's a thought experiment for you. So jobs are going to get replaced. You're going to hear just AI radio DJs. So what if 20 light years from now, aliens get messages of what they think are live radio messages or what were live radio messages? They come to visit us and realize it is just robots have taken over.
They'll be disappointed. They'll be disappointed because we could have done a much better job of interviewing the aliens than the robots and the AI did, I think.
They might also not be disappointed that they don't have to, go to war with a bunch of fleshy sacks.
Fleshy bags of water.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. They would win.
I think so. If they
I
made it
can't
this
believe I'm
far, I would be afraid of what kind of weapons that they would be able to use.
Yeah, this has been a pretty bizarre conversation.
It has. Here's the factoid of the week for you, Dr. Bob. Hawaiian pizza was invented in Chatham, Ontario, Canada. It was created by Sam Panopoulos at his restaurant Satellite Restaurant in 1962. He named it after the brand of canned pineapple that he used.
What was
So
the brand?
Hawaiian pizza is Canadian.
Yeah,
I'm guessing it was just Hawaiian pineapple. It
yeah,
was the And do you know what they call Canadian bacon in Canada?
no idea.
Bacon. Do you know what they call regular bacon in Canada?
No.
Bacon. Do you
Oh,
like Hawaiian pizza, Dr. Bob?
no.
Ham and pineapple?
No, pineapple's too sweet.
Same. I've tried it. So don't come after me in the comments and say you got to try it before you knock it. I've tried it. I'm knocking it.
I'm
I'm
not a
not.
big pizza fan either. It tastes good, but I feel terrible after I eat it.
Gotcha. Yeah,
You know,
maybe you have a little bit of lactose intolerance, maybe a little bit too much cheese for Dr. Bob.
no, no, I don't have any of that. I don't have any dietary things. I don't have
You're a
any,
salt of the earth, man's man.
well, except for pineapple.
That's right. We'll keep that for the Hawaiians and the Canadians. Dr. Bob, my top five worst songs of all time. By the way, we would love your comments. Sound off at Substack. Make sure you follow us, iowarevolution.substack.com. Dr. Bob has two Substacks, Deep Midwest Politics and Culture. He also has Cedar Creek Nature Notes, taking a walk in the woods with Dr. Bob. And also recently, Dr. Bob, you've been collaborating with Matt Russell quite a bit, writing about especially the water crisis here lately.
Yeah, we've been doing some interesting stuff with Matt and I. We're good collaborators. One of us will have an idea and the other will make it better, and we'll just put it out there. We've done a number of pieces together. We've done things for Time Magazine, New York Times. It's really fun um, to work with Matt.
Yeah, you guys were also, or actually, I think you were just published in the KC Star.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
remind us, by the way, Matt Russell's Substack,
yep.
Growing New
Respect
Leaders.
Coyote Run Farm. It's really good. Yeah, I went through Emporia, Kansas, and got another story. I've got two stories based on Emporia, Kansas. So
Yeah,
I,
walking into gas stations in Emporia and you come out with two stories. That's
yeah.
that's Dr. Bob for you. And two fantastic stories, I may add.
Well, the Kansas City Star liked them. They printed them in um, all of the McClatchy papers on Sundays. 2 million people reading it, so that's
Nice.
fun.
Congratulations.
But
Round of
it's
applause.
yeah. Well, it's fun I mean, stories. They're everywhere. Just some of us take the time to grab them.
Yep. I've mentioned this before on the podcast. You are a grade A noticer, Dr. Bob. You notice things that not a lot of other people notice. It's one of the things that makes you special, Dr. Bob. Top five worst songs of all time. There's a quick story behind this one. Number five is We've Only Just Begun by the Carpenters.
That's bad.
So bad. The Carpenters in general are bad. And just a quick story. So we're in the middle of the Knoxville Nationals. They're going on right now, the big sprint car national event at the Knoxville Raceway. So way back when I first started in radio 17, 18 years ago, our friend Ken Payne was working the board back at the station. Jamie Brockman, the voice of the broadcasts from the Nationals, was on site from the Big Red Radio, and he's saying, "Hey," he called Ken and say, "Hey, make sure you're playing some upbeat rock songs because I'm here with the Big Red Radio and we're right in the middle of all these fans." So Ken, of course, plays We've Only Just Begun by the Carpenters. And then he follows that up by segueing to going to Jamie by saying the Knoxville Nationals have only just begun. Let's check in with Jamie Brockman at the Big Red Radio. Number four is I Would Do Anything for Love, but I Won't Do That by Meatloaf.
I've always wondered what he wouldn't do.
Same.
That's all I can think about.
And I wonder, but not that hard. You know what I mean? Like I wonder, but I really don't care. Number three is The Thong Song by Cisco.
Never heard of it.
That's probably a good thing, Dr. Bob. I came out, or that song came out when I was in high school, and it took the world by storm. It was blasting out of every car stereo in Marion, and it was annoying from the start. Number two is Achy Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah, pretty bad.
His one hit was a huge hit and it got played every single minute of every single day in what was that, like 1993, maybe that song came out, early 90s, probably.
And launched Miley's career, right?
That's right. Without Achy Breaky Heart, we wouldn't have Miley Cyrus. So I guess we should thank Achy Breaky Heart because I think Miley has some talent, certainly more talent than her dad did. Um, by the way, another quick story about Achy Breaky Heart. It always reminds me of in elementary school, we would do square dancing as part of our gym class. Like we would do a quarter on square dancing and line dancing. And Achy Breaky Heart, I heard it every single, we had to do dances to it every single freaking day. So that's also why it's very high on my list. And number one, I know this is close to Dr. Bob's heart. He used to come into the studio in the mornings when I would play this accidentally and say, "What the hell are you doing? This is the worst song of all time." Number one is Muskrat Love by Captain and Tennille.
Horrible, horrible song. And the little muskrats talking.
Just a little like the little chitters.
Yeah, there's lots of songs that are I don't know, candidates for this. Anything, oh, I don't know, what's that song? Afternoon Delight.
Yeah,
That's horrible.
that is a pretty bad song. Yes, it is.
And then Tie a Yellow Ribbon.
Oh, yeah. Round the old oak tree.
Yeah, that's a terrible song. Also that song,
Was that Paul Anka?
I think it was Tony Orlando.
Oh, yep, you're right. You're right. It was. It was Tony Orlando. But Paul Anka is also any song by Paul Anka could be on this list.
Oh, there, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go back and reassess. My mom loved Paul Anka, and so we
You know,
listened.
an artist in general that I never really understood that was huge was Gloria Estefan.
Yeah.
I never found her that talented. I mean, she was a great dancer, don't get me wrong, and had a great band, but in terms of her voice, wasn't a
Yeah, I don't.
fan. And she was a superstar, man.
Then there's this other song. Is this by Tony Orlando too? Remember the guy that um oh, his marriage was in trouble. They didn't love anymore. And he said, he wrote in the ad to the newspaper, do you like pina coladas? Do you like,
Yes, the Pina Colada song.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's yeah,
that's one of the worst songs ever.
the husband and wife cheating on each other.
Yeah,
And then, hey, we're cheating on each other, but this is going to rekindle our relationship. This is such a
yeah.
funny story. We're going to tell our grandkids.
Isn't that a horrible song?
It is. Yeah, definitely outside looking in.
Yeah, yeah, there's so many horrible songs.
Oh, there definitely are. And I want to hear them sound off in the comments on Substack or Twitter, wherever. Dr. Bob, always a pleasure. Can't believe we're
Yeah,
already done with this episode. Actually, kind of went a little bit long this week.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Well,
went off the
we
rails
ran
completely.
I went on a weird semi rant.
Those are my favorite ones, Dr. Bob. Always a pleasure, and we will see you next week.
Yep. Thanks, Spencer.